I used to weigh over 650 pounds. I've now lost over 360 pounds, and I want to teach you how I've broken weight loss stalls and plateaus along the way. If the scale has not moved in weeks and you're wondering if you're broken, this video is for you. In addition, I'm now a certified personal trainer, nutritionist, and wellness coach with the National Academy of Sports Medicine. I have spent my entire last few years trying to figure out what have I learned and use that to teach other people, and I'm here to help you. I'm going to go over 8 causes of weight loss, stalls, and plateaus, what causes them, how to break them, whether you're on a GLP-1 medication or not like I am. There are things that you can do to stop them in their place and get the scale moving again the way that you want. Reason number 1, water loss versus fat loss. This is a common thing when people are first losing weight, especially with the GLP-1, but any sort of thing they're doing where they're really bringing their calories and the type of food they eat down early on, they will often have a fantastic loss right away. And then the second week, the third week, they stop losing and they freak out and think, this no longer works for me. I'm not losing anymore. And the truth is that when you are first changing how you eat, that often means you're going to have less sodium and fewer carbs. And when you do that, the water your body is holding is going to flush out. And so that initial loss you have, those big numbers, are usually water weight. So you begin to feel right away like you are the success story. You are going to do great. Wow, I've lost so much the first week. That must mean that every week is going to be like this. But it's not true. You lose water so much faster than you lose fat. Once you get that initial water out of the way and the initial inflammation out of the way, that's when the real work begins. And so you are not in a weight loss stall or plateau if a couple of weeks in, you've stopped losing after having a big first week. It was just water. This is normal. You need to give yourself some patience and let this work over the course of time. One thing you can do is not look just at the scale, but on other things like how are you physically feeling? How are you moving? How are your joints working? How are your clothes fitting? There's lots of other things that you can look at here other than just the scale to tell you that you're actually achieving success that you maybe don't realize that you even are. Reason number 2 is that you may be eating too little, which I know sounds counterintuitive. But often if we are eating too little, it can cause us to overeat later without really thinking about it because it can cause us to be hungrier. It's really critical for us to know what our actual calorie intake should be. So the best way to do that is to talk to a professional like a dietitian or a nutritionist, but there are also sources you can use online. I encourage you to find a TDEE calculator. That's Total Daily Energy Expenditure Calculator. TDEE is essentially how many calories your body uses every single day. It's comprised of a few different things, including basal metabolic rate, which is how many calories you burn if you were basically in a coma. But the TDEE, and you can just go online, you put things like your age, your gender, your height, your weight, your activity level, and it will tell you, hey, if you want to lose or gain, here's the suggested calories for you. Use that as an opening line, as an estimate, and get started, and then over the course of time, you can change it. One tip I'd give you is that when you use the calculator, you should set your activity level as sedentary. Even if you think you're moving a little bit more, that'll give you a conservative estimate. And the truth is, whatever it's telling you your calorie deficit should be, you can do that and then look at the results. And if you're not getting the results you need, then you may need to bring the calories down or recalculate something or seek help of a professional. Because these are just estimates from the calculator. Every body and everybody is different. So you have to understand that. Number 3 is that your movement has dropped. Your physical movement has dropped. One of the aspects of total daily energy expenditure we just talked about is NEAT, non-exercise activity thermogenesis. This is stuff like moving my hands like I'm doing here, blinking, moving my chair around. All these little movements that we do throughout the day actually burn a significant amount of calories. And when we're in a calorie deficit, because we're eating fewer calories than our body needs, our body will eventually start trying to conserve energy. And one of the ways that it conserves that energy is it actually slows that movement down. And we're not even aware because you're not thinking about how often you're blinking. You're generally not thinking about how you're moving your hands. So if your body starts to slow that stuff down, you don't even realize it. And that can actually have a significant impact to how many calories that you're burning every single day. The solution to this one is just to be very intentional about your movement. So taking more frequent short walks can be helpful. You can't really remind yourself to blink more or, wiggle around a little bit more, but you can walk more. And so one thing you may want to do is let's say every time you get up to use the bathroom, rather than walk straight to the bathroom, you say, I'm going to walk into every room in my house before I go into the bathroom. Or I'm going to walk to the bathroom and back 5 times before I actually use the bathroom. By intentionally adding that extra movement into your day, you can counteract a lot of what your body's doing by trying to conserve the movements that you're not even thinking about that you're doing unintentionally. The best piece of advice I can give you this is this. Every time you eat, go for a 5 or 10-minute walk after you eat. That alone will not only help your digestion, you'll end up burning way more calories than you even realize you're doing by going on just a brief walk every time you eat. Which leads us to reason number 4, strength training. Weightlifting, resistance training, whatever you want to call it. This is a pound of muscle and this is a pound of fat. When our body's in a calorie deficit because we're eating fewer calories than we need, our body needs to start eating itself. We love that. That's how we lose weight. The thing is, your muscle's really metabolically active. Your muscle burns way more calories than your fat does. And so when your body's in a deficit, it wants to conserve. So it's going to often go after your muscle relatively quickly. So let's say you have to lose 2 pounds this week. Great. So it goes after your muscle, which you're not using because you're not doing resistance training. And let's say it takes a pound of your muscle and a pound of your fat. Now, on the scale, hooray, you've lost 2 pounds. It feels good. The problem is over the course of time, weeks and months, you end up losing a lot of muscle and you end up keeping a lot of your fat. That's what skinny fat is when people say that. That's really what it is. But that's not even the worst part. The worst part is that your body begins to slow down its calories burn because it's lost its muscle, which means that you stall, you plateau, you're not losing anything. And even worse, you can start to regain. And this has often happened for many of us over the years where we've lost weight and regained over and over. And often when we lose muscle and we regain with fat. So in the end, we can weigh the same as we did before, but more easily gain because our body's now under muscled. It's really critical that you keep your muscle in a weight loss journey or afterwards to get it back. And the only way to do it is through resistance training, keeping your muscle by using it. You can go to the gym, you can do workouts from home, you can do things that are very, very basic, but just do something. And make sure you're feeding it protein because that's what our muscle eats to stay strong. If you're using your muscle and feeding it protein, you are much less likely to lose it. Now, one of the scary things about starting this process, especially if you're really hyper-focused on the scale, is that when we start adding muscle back or using our muscle, it can cause us to stall on the scale or even regain a little bit because muscle weighs something. In addition, you start holding a little bit more water, which your muscle needs as it grows. This doesn't mean that you failed or that this is no longer working for you. It just means that your body is changing and adding more muscle. Think of it this way. If you take your car and go to a gas station and fill it up, the car weighs more after you put gas in the tank, right? Does that mean that the car doesn't work anymore? No, you're just getting the car ready to go and run for much longer. View muscle the same way. Muscle is the fuel in your body and it burns your fat. It turns your body into a fat burning, calorie burning machine. But that's what you need to do with muscle. So don't be scared if you gain or stall because you're adding muscle. All you're doing is preparing your body to have even more success in the future. Reason number 5 is just adaptation, metabolic adaptation, your body adapting, having a mental struggle point, your body begins to recalibrate. This is a common thing. After you've lost weight for a while, often your body will just stop and it just needs a little break. This has happened to me multiple times and I'm closing in on almost 400 pounds lost. Multiple times, I know at this point, I know exactly how to have my nutrition dialed in. I know exactly how to have my movement dialed in. Yet, I know I'm in a deficit, but the scale stops. And it is often my body's just needing time to slow down, to catch up, to see what's going on. Always a good time to evaluate how you're doing, evaluate if you need to check anything or change anything. Give it a few weeks though. It is okay. It doesn't mean that it's no longer working. It just means sometimes our bodies need a chance to catch up. This is also an area where you have to be a little cautious about habit creep. When we are starting any sort of weight loss journey, especially true if you're on a GLP-1, at first it's exciting and you're really actively thinking about all the changes. But after a long time, and trust me, I get this because I've been at this for a few years now, after a while, you will find that you can easily retreat to old habits. They kind of creep back in because the novelty, the excitement of the new thing just isn't there anymore. And this can often cause us to stall or plateau without even thinking about it. So it's really important in this process to have an honest conversation with yourself about your current status, your current activity, your current eating, and just make changes if you need to. But often our bodies just need a chance to catch up. And that's what this one's about. Number 6 is that you are no longer in a calorie deficit. The truth is that our body burns fewer calories as it gets smaller. And so as we lose weight, honestly, we're just burning fewer calories, which means the calorie deficit, the thing that causes us to lose weight, it gets smaller and smaller and smaller. And so if you want to continue losing at the same rate, you have to do a few things to keep the calorie deficit high. You either have to reduce what you're eating or increase your movement or a combination of both. I advise, we talked about the TDE calculator earlier, I advise you to go run that every 10 to 20 pounds that you lose. Every time you're down 10, down 15, whatever it is, go back to that calculator and rerun the numbers and adjust anything you need in terms of activity level or your intake to continue meeting a calorie deficit if that's what you want. It's also okay that over the course of time, that calorie deficit decreases as well. It's sort of like landing a plane as you get closer to whatever your long-term maintenance weight is going to be. But if you are eating this exact same calories you do today as you will 6 months from now, but let's say 6 months from now you weigh 30 pounds less, you will just see a slower weight loss because your deficit will have shrunk along the way. So recalculate because you may not realize that you're no longer in a calorie deficit. Part of that also involves having an honest conversation with yourself about what your intake is like. I weigh, measure, and track my food. Not everyone has to. I have to. One, to make sure I'm getting enough protein, but two, because it's what allows me to be honest with myself. And if I've had stalls or plateaus along the way, sometimes it has been because I'm just not paying as close attention as I thought that I was to my intake. So recalculate, honest conversation, track if you need to, at least for a little while, just to make sure that you're getting back on track. Reason number 7 is that you are weighing yourself too often and it's making you think you're in a stall when you're actually not. I weigh myself every day. I have no emotion tied to the scale at all. And so I stay the same or I gain 80% of the time. 8 out of 10 days, the scale is bad news for me. And if I let that scale cause me to be upset, I would have spent 80% of the last 3.5 years angry that I was failing while losing almost 400 pounds. That would be pretty crazy, right? So I encourage you, if you are weighing yourself daily and it's causing mental issues for yourself or causing you to spiral, you should maybe change how often you're doing that. Sometimes people will weigh themselves multiple times a day, which I think is setting yourself up for total disaster when it comes to this stuff. Instead, find a cadence of weighing yourself that gives you the data and information that you need without causing you to get too upset. The truth is, on a daily basis, our bodies fluctuate so much based on things like our sleep or our stress levels. Are we getting a little more sodium? Are we changing how we're eating on a given day? And so because because our body is always fluctuating, if you look at a day or a few days or even a week and think a stall's happening, all you're doing is setting yourself up to fail. So much of a weight loss journey is more mental than physical. And be very careful of these landmines like daily weighing if that is a landmine that can cause you to feel like you're failing. If you can weigh yourself daily and without emotion like me, great. If not, maybe find a different timeline to do it. In addition to that, you can use other metrics other than just a scale to look at your success. I encourage you to take pictures every single month. So on the first of the month, take 3 pictures, have someone take them of you, or you can set up a camera and do it yourself. A front-facing picture, a profile picture, and then a back picture. In addition, I'd encourage you to measure yourself. So there are apps that allow you to do this, or you can just get an old school tape measure and measure various parts of your body. And then over the course of time, even if you're seeing the scale not moving, you will often see a difference in pictures or how your numbers are changing when you measure yourself, or even things like how your clothing is fitting. So don't use only the scale as the single metric that tells you whether or not you're failing or succeeding in this process. Reason number 8, sleep and stress. Starting with stress. Stress has an actual physical effect on your body in terms of your hormone level that can affect your weight loss. Stress from family or money or job, relationships, whatever it is. I encourage you, if you're dealing or finding that you're stressed, find a way to deal with it. Therapy is great. Talk with someone, get a friend, find an online community support. Dealing with the stress and managing it can make an actual impact on what you weigh. The other side of this is sleep. This is the most common reason for me stalling or plateauing. The truth is that sleep can mess up a lot when it comes to weight loss. It affects our hormones. It can affect how we eat and our relationship with food. It certainly affects our movement if we're in the mood to go out and go walking or get a workout in if we're really tired. So the best way to fix your sleep is to do two things. One, come up with a consistent sleep schedule. So am I going to bed at the same time every night? And am I getting up at the same time every day, 7 days a week? Those who do that will have much more success. Sleep hygiene. Things like how dark is it in the room I'm sleeping? How cool, make sure it's cool in the room. Is it quiet in the room? Do I have like my phone in front of my face right before I go to bed, which is a bad idea. So try to create a hygiene for sleep and a routine and a schedule that works for you, that allows you to be consistent 7 days a week or close to it. Another thing I suggest doing that I find really helpful is a moment of gratitude at the end of every night. That those final few seconds where your eyes are closed and you're really alone with your thoughts, take a moment to think about what you're grateful for the day. This can really help cut down some of that stress at the end of the night. And this is a practice. You have to work at this. It's not natural for many of us, and it's not easy. You have to practice. But if you practice having that moment of gratitude at the end of every single night, you will see a change in your life. You'll sleep better. You'll wake up better. You will go through life seeking out moments of gratitude because you know that you're going to have to pay the piper at the end of the day and have that moment of reflection. Going through life seeking gratitude can really alleviate stress and can help you sleep much better. So, to close, stalls and plateaus are normal. They are just part of the process for anyone on a weight loss journey. Do not panic when they happen. They are normal. What's really important is to stop and make an evaluation of the 8 areas that I talked about what is actually causing this for me. Having an honest conversation with yourself that allows you to figure it out can make a huge difference for you. Don't try to change everything at once. Don't make a whole bunch of changes. Just make small adjustments or tweaks on each of those things until you find what's causing your stall and gets it going again. Remember, you're not doing this for a number on the scale in a week. You're doing this because you want to extend your life and improve the quality of your life. The fact you have a stall for a few weeks or a couple of months in the big picture isn't really going to matter a whole lot. And if you let a bad few weeks or a bad few months on a scale cause you to give up, you are giving up on years and years of really good quality of life and happier life and a longer life. Don't let a stall or plateau get in the way for you. You do not have to be perfect. You just have to be consistent. Being consistently good beats being occasionally perfect every single time. Subscribe, give a follow if you're looking for any tips or advice on your own journey for better health. If you have any ideas of how to break stalls or things that have caused stalls for you, leave them in the comments. Would absolutely love to hear what others have to say. You got this. I know you can do this.